Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to host another one of our Enliven chats here. Catherine Sharp has brought all of us here together, myself, Ahmed Rame, we have Tara Adams from Abridge Consulting, and we have Michelle Precourt from Mindful HR Services. And today we're going to be talking about mental health and mental wellness in organizations and business today. As we're, of course, still going through the pandemic into our second year of this, there's a lot of important talks to be had. So, Michelle, why don't we start with you? And if you can give yourself a quick introduction for everyone today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ahmed. So my name is Michelle Precourt, and what I bring to today's conversation is some experience working in corporate Canada and understanding the stressors and pressures of being in that environment. And now I run a firm called Mindful HR Services, and what I do with leaders and with employers is to encourage mindfulness and meditation practices in support of health and wellness for, greater workplace success, greater productivity, greater balance people.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michelle. Happy to have you here. Tara, how about yourself?
Hi, Catherine, Michelle, Ahmed. I'm Tara Adams of Abridge Consulting. My specialty is bridging the gap to workplace mental health, and my personal motto is let's get more people, more help sooner.
Excellent. I love it. Really great directions from both of you. And of course, Catherine, how about yourself?
Great. Thanks, Ahmed. And thanks, Tara and Michelle, for joining us here today for this conversation. Very purposeful conversation at this time. My company is Enliven, and I support small to medium-sized businesses on their journey of digital transformation. So I'm really happy to have this conversation with all of you.
Fantastic. And myself, Ahmed Rame, I'm with Marketing by Rame, and I specialize in helping with marketing strategy and brand strategy and helping businesses reach their market goals. So let's kick this off today. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot happening. I wanted to bring up that, us being in Canada here, we've been recognized, I guess, as a leader in the workplace mental health standards by launching the National Standard of Canada for Psychological Health and Safety in the Workplace in 2013. And I think it's important to start with that, because we are speaking sort of from a Canadian perspective, that is really important to recognize that we've already started down this journey in some ways. Now, of course, we're not completely there. There's still a lot of work to be done, but that was pre-COVID. So that's important to note. And now with us being, 1 year going to our second year into this pandemic, I'd love to know from your perspectives, what are we really experiencing or seeing? Maybe perhaps you could share some stories from clients that you've been working with or clients you've been seeing. What is it that you are experiencing in your day-to-day as you're talking through some of this? So I'll hand it over to Tara to answer first, and then maybe we get some other perspectives.
And thanks for mentioning the Mental Health Commission of Canada's National Psychological Health and Safety Standard. It is world-class and quite groundbreaking. Voluntary right now, soon to be mandatory as we move behind the scenes to that psychological health and safety space. But since the pandemic, it's just a great question. Sometimes it's hard to put things into words because there's a lot of negative and positive things that have happened, and they're all sort of mixed up together. So if I were to tease it out a little bit, having spoken to lots of clients, lots of organizations, we're seeing research and data like the data published from the Mental Health Research Canada quarterly surveys of Canadians that says, the self-reported and diagnosed levels of depression is actually 70% higher right now amongst Canadians since the first COVID wave. That could be pretty scary data to think about. And really acknowledging that people have gone through, at different levels, chronic sustained impact, whether you think about impairment or isolation, and of course in varying degrees, but really a sustained experience. One of the things I find troubling is people are redefining and questioning what is good mental health and wondering if how they feel right now is as good as it's going to get, and losing not able to remember what it felt like to be really mentally healthy. So there's this combination of working from home, more isolation, lots of screen fatigue, but there's also lots of positive, on the personal level. Hopefully people have experienced some more connecting, more conversation, more checking in, even if it's by video. and people feel a little bit more human in some ways at work. You guys all met my dog, I have kids. This is something that's changed since the pandemic. And then of course in the workplace, as you spoke to in your intro, Ahmed, employers are now accepting that there's a serious need and a serious business case around workplace mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially as we look into further the amount of investments that go into lost days or sick days and that kind of thing. How about yourself, Michelle? What are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, it's I think I'll approach this question a little bit differently and talk about the behaviors where, when the pandemic first hit, there was a lot of uncertainty. And then it was this continuous movement, augmentation of services and products and what's needed. And well, even prior to that, the full stop that happened as well. And then because of that constant change, there was the gamut, think of like a bell curve from, I have no idea what to do. I don't know how to help my people. I can barely take care of myself, to I have a business to run, let's soldier on. And somewhere in between, there is, I think, a balanced approach there. That level of humility that, we don't have to be everything to everyone, and that it's okay to say to your people, I don't have all the answers, but maybe collectively we can support each other through this period of transition. And so now there's been a bit of a rebalance, and I think hope for the future and hope for growth, and that if we can continue on this upward trajectory, but still being mindful that there's lots of change, right? So there's this balance between things are still changing, but let's continue to support each other. Let's continue to lobby for what's important in terms of services and products, and taking care of each other. That's my thought around what I've seen over this last year.
I love that part right at the end there, your close about taking care of each other. And it seems, or we talk about it's kind of being fluffy or airy-fairy, but at the end of the day, when we talk about mental health, when we talk about mental wellness, at least from my perspective, a lot of it is just that, about taking care of each other, taking care of oneself, and ensuring that we're all moving forward in a healthy way, regardless of what's happening around us, right? And there's so much that gets packed into that part there. Catherine, I see you nodding your head. Do you have something you'd like to add there, or something that maybe you're seeing in your world as on the management consultant side?
Yeah, well, I think part of it, and Michelle kind of addressed it too, which is that there was the beginning responses, or maybe not quite sure what the response should be. So there was a really mixed, I was seeing a sort of a mixed reaction, if you will, at the very beginning. There were leaders that maybe didn't know quite what to do, didn't maybe know how to check in. They were okay, but maybe they weren't checking in well enough with their teams to know what their teams needed. And I think now with, over time, what we're now seeing is that there's more information to help and support leaders. And so now some of those decisions are getting made about what actually truly is helpful or beneficial to their teams and to their workforce. So I think that's been some of the shift I've seen from the, if you will, kind of the very beginning of this to where we are a year later now. One of the things I saw too, interestingly enough, just today announced was a large multinational corporation, after looking at the data that they kind of gathered through this period of time and what they were seeing in their business, offering up a full day where the entire company, and remember this is a large global company, is taking a full mental health day. Right. So, and I think, at least if nothing else, it's visibility, and that there's some listening happening now to what's maybe needed.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point because, you mentioned it's a large global company who is able to invest in a day like that, or might have the resources to invest in a day like that. Whereas, of course, there's going to be multiple smaller, medium-sized businesses who may not have those kinds of resources to invest in, everyone being off on the same day or what have you. But the important part there is about listening, that it's being recognized, that it's something that is being seen as changing as the globe is moving forward. And some of these other companies may be able to do their own version of that, whatever it looks like, but to do something else to invest in mental health. Well, I think this has been a really great conversation and a really great way of opening the topic and learning a little bit more from each and every one of you. So thank you for your time today, and I look forward to the next conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks.